For lesson 11, we're going to be talking about getting particular information from a graph of a function. So first of all, you need to decide what's a function and what's not. So off of a graph, you can determine whether something's a function or not by what's called the vertical line test. So if you take and you have your graph and you draw lines going straight down, if those lines only hit the graph one time, that would be a function. So here, I'm only hitting the graph one time each time, so that one would also be a function. Whereas these two, if I draw a line, I hit the graph twice, not a function. Hit the graph more than once, again, not a function. So that's the very easy way to tell if you have the graph. So with these pieces here, so this graph, first of all, would be a function. First question you're asked are, what are these three things right here? So when you're doing these, when you basically have f of x is equal to y. So the thing inside the parentheses is the x, the thing outside is the y. So on these three pieces here, I'm given the x coordinate. I want to know what the corresponding y coordinate is. Well, so for f of 0, so the x coordinate being 0, it would be that. So the answer to that one would be 4. For an x coordinate of 3 pi over 2, that would be 0. And for 3 pi, that would be negative 4. So because the numbers are inside the parentheses, you are given the x coordinate when you're doing those. All right, domain and range is how far your graph stretches left and right for domain, and how far your graph stretches up and down for range. So domain goes along with the x's, and the range goes along with the y's. Sorry, that's terrible. Y. Okay, so domain is how far from there to there. So our farthest left point is 0, 4, and our farthest right point is 4 pi over 2. So we're dealing with the x coordinates on that. So my domain would be 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4 pi. For the range, we're going up and down. So now from there to there. Okay, so my highest is 4, and my lowest is negative 4. Again, because range, we're dealing with y's. So negative 4 less than or equal to y less than or equal to positive 4. Okay, so that's how you do domain and range. Domain, left and right, give the x. Range, up and down, give the y. All right, next part, list the intercepts. So intercepts are anywhere it crosses the x-axis or the y-axis. So what you would do for listing of the intercepts on that would be here, 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 and then you'd have one y-intercept as well. So those 5 points you would list as your intercepts. The big thing is you're looking for 0 in the x or 0 in the y, and the one that everybody always forgets is the y coordinate. Everybody always lists the x, but they always forget the y's. So again, given the graph, that's pretty simple. Just find where it crosses the x and the y, and those would be your answers. All right, how often does the line y equals 2 intersect the graph? So if I draw a line straight across here at 2, I hit the graph 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Oops. All right, for what value of x does f of x is equal to 4? So again, this is the y coordinate on that, negative 4, So when y equals negative 4, so there's 2 instances in this case, at pi and at 3 pi. And then the last question, for what values of x is f of x greater than 0? Okay, so greater than 0 would be anything above the x-axis. So that would be this piece here, this piece here, and this piece here. So the question does say what values of x. So I'm going to list the x coordinates between each squiggle. So the first one would be 0 is less than or equal to x is just less than pi over 2, because at pi over 2 it's equal to 0. Then from 3 pi over 2 to 5 pi over 2. And then from 7 pi over 2 to 4 pi, including 4 pi, because that would still be equal to on that piece. All right, so that is lesson 11. Let me know if you have any questions.